The 73rd running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring may be in the rearview mirror, but so much happened in Florida that it's going to stay in our minds for quite some time. Hi folks, Leigh Diffey, along with my booth mates and teammates, IMSA experts on NBC, Calvin Fish and Brian Till. We had a great weekend covering Sebring. It's always a special race, but significant this year for what transpired, and that was Team Penske and Porsche winning overall and in the GTP class, and exactly the same driver lineup and car that won at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Cal, I'll start with you first. Just to do 36 hours of racing in the first two rounds of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, just to finish it is a huge accomplishment. But we know the reliability factor in sports cars these days is so high, the pace is so high, and what Team Penske and Porsche Penske Motorsport pulled off really is quite remarkable. For Nick Tandy to continue his winning ways, Felipe Nasr at the helm, and Lawrence Vanthoor, this trio is racking up the wins pretty fast.
It was really perfect execution in one of the toughest races to do that at, to stay out of trouble and to really have your car come to life in those final couple of hours when it really counts. But you're looking at the man there, Felipe Nasr. He is so much in the zone right now. Just really got great comfort with that car. He's able to lean on it early in the stint. He's able to maintain that pace. Drove away from his teammate a couple of times by a handful of seconds. And that really gave him the gap and the cushion to deal with traffic without taking any chances. We see other drivers flashing their headlights, going crazy. He was so in the zone, didn't touch his headlights, just cruised through the traffic and brought it home once again. An amazing start to the year, Lee.
Brian, think about all of the different categories of racing that you've been involved in, and you behind the wheel as well over the years. And I think that we have to sit here in this moment and just absorb what Roger Penske and his entire organization has achieved. So Cup Championship last year, Indianapolis 500 victory last year, started with the Rolex 24 victory in 2024. They just keep bulldozing through, winning the World Endurance Championship, winning Rolex this year, winning Sebring. I mean, this team is just in an extraordinary passage right now. And I think when we, are sitting in our rocking chairs as old people down the road, we'll be telling our grandkids about this period of time in motorsport, won't we?
Well, I mean, I think so, but it's not surprising, is it? I mean, it's Roger Penske. And you look back over the years with everything that Roger has done, everything that he's touched, he brings the same processes and the same mindset into it. And I think he does in business, just like he does in motorsport. And it's why he has the success that he's done. And I think it may have taken just a little while, but he's molded Felipe Nasr into that Penske mold. Calvin just talked about it. He was cool, calm, collected, smooth behind the wheel. I mean, his hands just looked like he was, carrying dynamite. They were so smooth and gentle on the wheel. Nick Tandy, I don't think is quite in the Penske mode yet. He's obviously gets the job done, but a little more thrashing. But for Felipe Nasr, I mean, it's just, he's there. He's bought into it. He's living the dream, right? I mean, you look at the success he just had over the last two seasons. Like you said, Lee, it just continues. And back to these are the good old days of sports car racing.
Yeah, this is the golden era, so to speak. Hey, Cal, we call it the Florida swing, right? The Rolex 24, the Sebring 12 hour. The same team and car driver lineup hasn't won this since Wayne Taylor Racing in 2017. Let's talk about WTR Cadillac Racing. It was a day that Wayne Taylor and his organization was not expecting. It did not go their way, either with the 10 or the 40. What do you make of it?
A surprise to me. I thought that Cadillac would be very strong here this weekend. Certainly the 31 car was at times during the race. They obviously had the issue in qualifying. They got to the lead before the end of the first hour, so they certainly had potential. But I would say for Wayne Taylor Racing, they got to be scratching their heads a little bit, Lee. Yes, they had drama. Brendan Hartley had the crash in the 40 car. Ricky had that penalty, a lot of debate. He says for sure he did not touch the Ferrari and send it into the fence. Either way, that put them on the back foot for the rest of the day. But they simply didn't have the pace, Lee. But that's a really strong group. They're going to regroup there and try and come back stronger for the next round at Long Beach, a street race, very different format. But that really ramps up the intensity. And I think you win that 100-minute race feeling like you're in the groove. And that's a team that really haven't found it yet. It's obviously been only a couple of races switching back to the GM. But yeah, not a great day for that whole group.
Brian, the 50th anniversary celebrations for BMW Motorsport, BMW North America, BMW team Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. The party didn't go as planned. Got off to a great start with pole with Dries Vanthoor for the second Enduro in a row. They do have pace. Carl was talking about the Wayne Taylor cars may not have had the pace. The BMW had the pace. It showed us that in qualifying and in the early stages of the race. But a few mistakes, a few missteps here and there. What do you make of the BMW campaign and the potential for this 25 season?
I think they have everything that Penske Racing has, and they are missing a lot of things that Penske Racing has as well. They've got the talent in the engineering department. They've got the talent behind the wheel. They've got the car to do it with. They've proven that. I think what they're missing is that cohesiveness. It showed at Daytona. It showed right here at the start. Why wasn't somebody on the radio with Vanthoor at the start reminding him, stay in your column, stay in your column, stay in your column? Go back to Daytona when they had the nose issue, front end of that car at the end of the race, and they were deciding whether to pit or not. Listen to your driver. It's his butt that's sitting in the seat. If he says, I need the nose, I need the nose. So they're just missing this little cohesiveness, the communication, whatever you want to call it. It's an intangible, but you can't miss anything in WeatherTech these days, especially in the GTP category, or you're not going to be on the podium. You're not going to be winning races. BMW has everything it takes. They just need to rework the recipe a little bit and get it sorted, and they'll be winning races. Meyershank Racing as well. I mean, the Acura was impressive. They had some bad luck. It's easy to kind of forget about them because we haven't talked about them yet. But they were there all weekend long. They were all there all weekend long at Daytona, and they're going to factor into this championship by the end of the season.
Hey, Leigh, I just want to pick up on what Brian said there. I think it's a great point, because when you have these big manufacturers involved in GTP and they're running with an operation like Team RLL, that is the key component, is getting both groups to work together. You can't have a debate. You can't have a conference call and go over all the different scenarios. You got to have your finger on the pulse and make those decisions very quickly. And I think that's where these results can get away from groups like that.
Talking about good results, the general consensus coming away from Sebring and in the sports car universe, everybody was very impressed with the heart of racing, the Thor team, with that screaming V12 Aston Martin Valkyrie. Race winners, Team Penske Porsche Motorsport, logged 353 laps. The Valkyrie, on debut in North American sports car racing, did 351. That was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And what was equally impressive to getting it to the finish line at the hardest race to do so was their pace, Leigh. I mean, they were only a few tenths off the front runner's pace through the first few hours of that race. So certainly a lot of the teams are in energy save mode through the middle stints. And obviously you want the car that's going to be strong at the end, so you may compromise the ultimate pace during the day. But I was really impressed. And I think the team were probably somewhat surprised at the test about a month ago. They're about a second and a half off best lap for best lap. But here this weekend, it was a few tenths, maybe a second at the end of the day. That's got to give them a lot of encouragement. They're currently continuing with a 24-hour test to prep for the rest of the year. So, but the car, sensational. It looks so cool. And the sound is something else that we don't hear, obviously, in the GTP ranks.
Leigh, yeah.
They won their class. I mean,
that's true.
They won their class, right? But Calvin alluded to it. 351 laps at the most difficult racetrack from a physicality standpoint on the equipment and the drivers, of course, that will run on all year long. And they did it not in test mode. They did it in race mode. Truly, and I was kidding when I said they won their class, but essentially they did. This is a win for them. It truly is. If you listen to Ross Gunn before the weekend, he was like, we're very realistic. Well, guess what? They just raised the bar as they head down the road because they did a great job this weekend.
It's very gratifying to see where the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is at the moment, with the variety of manufacturers and drivers from all over the world giving us so much enjoyment and entertainment like they did at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. A short break. Next up, it couldn't be more dramatic. From a 24 to a 12-hour to a 100-minute race on the famed streets of Long Beach. You'll see that on USA and on Peacock, April 12th from 5 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy the short break. We'll be back racing before you know it. Hi, folks. Leigh Diffey from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.